Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about a change.org petition that has kind of gone viral, and there's been a lot of people talking about it. Obviously, a lot of people in the space that I occupy that have been talking about it, and I've had a lot of people that were curious about what I thought about it. And so recently, a plus-size influencer who goes by JBay, I believe, she started a change.org petition which she titled Demand for the FAA to Protect Plus-Size Travelers. And in this change.org petition, she basically goes over all of her wants and things that she feels the FAA should change for plus-size passengers as well as other people too. And so I want to show you guys the change.org petition. We're not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty long. I will link it if you are curious, and we'll go from there. This is the petition right here, and this is JBay. And then again, demand for the FAA to protect plus-size travelers. There's currently 8,700 signatures out of 10,000. All right, so it says, air travel should be comfortable and accessible for everyone, regardless of size. As plus-size travelers, my partner and I have unfortunately experienced discrimination and discomfort while flying. During a flight from Pasco to Denver, I don't even know where Pasco is, my fiance was subjected to hateful comments. I mean, that's not cool, right? Disapproving looks, that happens, and even refusal to sit next to them. I mean, it's tough, but it's like, if someone is really, really large and they're going to be in your seat, I can understand not, like, you know, wanting a different seat. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. But the thing is like, I struggle with this because I mean, I'm going to share my thoughts, but it's like, I think anybody that has traveled in economy knows that those seats are not big. And so even so for someone like me, I always sit in the aisle just in case I have to pee, but also because if I sit in the middle, dude, my shoulders, it's uncomfortable. But even honestly, I'm starting to think maybe I should sit on the on like near the window, because people bump into my shoulder the entire flight and it's so annoying. I got very distracted. Okay. All right. Similarly, on another flight, I was forced to occupy only one seat. Okay. You were not forced to occupy one seat. You bought one seat and that's where you were sitting. I was forced to occupy only one seat with immovable armrests that caused me pain and bruises. Being forced to occupy only one seat can result in pain and vulnerability to poor treatment from fellow passengers, including hateful comments, disapproving looks, and even refusals to sit next to them. This mistreatment of plus-size passengers is unacceptable, and it highlights the urgent need for better policies that protect the dignity and rights of all passengers, regardless of size. Unfortunately, plus-size passengers often experience discomfort and discrimination when flying. The lack of a uniform customer of size airline policy is unacceptable and needs to be addressed. And again, so the rest of this thing, I mean, like I said, it's pretty long, and so we're not going to read the entire thing, but if you want to read it, feel free. I will link it down in the description. Honestly, if you do end up reading the change thing, a lot of the recommendations that she has, I personally don't think are over the top, like ridiculous. You know, she does talk about people that are tall. She does talk about, you know, people that are in wheelchairs. She does talk about all of these other things. And so, you know, I think a lot of people have gotten really, really upset without reading the entire thing. But just because I can see where she's coming from doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with everything that is being said in this petition. First thing, and I think it's the most glaring thing that for me frustrates me when I see stuff like this, is a lot of times people will equate being overweight as basically the same as being stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or even being tall, right? Those are things that you cannot change no matter how hard you try. Right? I mean, sometimes I guess if you're in a wheelchair, there's ways that you can work on that stuff. But like, you know, someone that cannot get out of their wheelchair, there's no way that they're going to be able to walk again. That's not something that they can change, right? Same thing with being tall. That's not something that you can change. And I get really frustrated because a lot of times these types of things are framed in a way that it's like, oh, I'm big and there is nothing I can do about it. It's basically the same as XYZ disability or whatever. And so therefore I deserve the same treatment as someone with XYZ disability. And like for me, I fundamentally obviously disagree with that. The other thing that comes to mind, and this might sound silly and whatever, but like where does this stuff end, right? Because at what point is it like, okay, I am so large that I can't fit into the plane, right? Like the door doesn't, because the plane doors are not big by any means, right? And so what if someone isn't able to fit inside of a plane door? At what point do the airlines, should they make bigger doors for the planes, right? And then especially with flying, like there are things that take into account about like the balance and weight and stuff like that. And so I don't know. It just feels like this opens a really big can of worms. This is an Instagram post that she posted talking about this whole thing.
Did you know that more than 1 billion people in the world are plus size? That's roughly 13% of the population. And yet, many airlines still don't have clear policies in place to accommodate plus size passengers. That's why I've started a petition calling on the FAA to require every airline to have a clear customer size policy in place for plus size passengers. No one should have to endure the discomfort, embarrassment, and discrimination that often comes with being a plus size passenger trying to navigate air travel. By signing this petition, you can help us demand that airlines take concrete steps to make air travel more inclusive and accommodating for all passengers. Whether you're plus size or not, everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect when they fly. Let's work together to make sure that the travel industry serves everyone, not just a select few. Sign and share this petition, and let's make a difference.
So, and then she goes on to write in the caption, air travel should not be a source of discomfort, embarrassment, or discrimination for anyone regardless of their size. As the stats show, over 1 billion people in the world are plus size. Okay, that's not incorrect, but again, there's definitely levels, right? So not everyone is going to require or even want an extra seat, right? So I don't know. I feel like it's a little misleading, but yet many airlines still don't have clear policies in place to accommodate them. This is unacceptable and needs to change. That's why I'm calling on you to join me in breaking down these barriers and making air travel accessible for all. By signing the petition, you'll be demanding official policies for plus-size passengers so that everyone can travel with dignity and respect. Together, we can make a difference and create a more inclusive world for everyone. I believe that everyone deserves the right to travel freely and without fear of discrimination. And it starts with raising our voices and demanding change. So don't wait any longer. Join me today and let's work towards a future where air travel is accessible and accommodating for all. Together, we can make a difference and create a better world for everyone. Sign the petition and that's the website. And so I want to make it clear from everything that I've read and stuff that I've seen, it doesn't seem like this is a terrible person and I hate them or anything like that. That's definitely not how I feel. But at the same time, it definitely feels like it is a person that is coming from a very privileged position and a very narrow point of view and only looking at things of how it affects them and how that doesn't feel fair to them. And I know this might seem like I'm not caring or anything like that, but I truly do think that what she is dealing with is something that can be changed, right? Like your weight and your size and how much space you take is not something that is irreversible and that you have no agency over. Like this is absolutely, in my opinion, something that we absolutely have, we can change and we have the means and the ways to make a difference and make a change for ourselves. And I think in a way to make your life better and make these things that you're struggling with no longer be something that you're struggling with, right? Like I never traveled when I was at my heaviest, so I don't know exactly what it's like, but I'm assuming it's probably not very fun. For me, that would have been a thing to be like, okay, hey, this needs to change. Like this is a change that I have to make. I talked about the one time I went on a roller coaster and they barely were able to click it in. I had one click instead of most people had 10. And that was terrifying to me. That was scary. That made me realize, hey, this is becoming an issue, right? This is not good, right? This is another post where she's actually responding to someone that said, but how about for the person sitting next to you, not being rude, but still, and she's replying to this comment here.
Right now. So for me, I always purchase a second seat now that I'm a size 6X. I also usually am traveling with my partner, so we get a whole row to ourselves. We're both plus size individuals. But when I'm traveling solo, there's a few different things that I do. In flying solo, and when I was a size 4 and 5X, I was able to comfortably sit in a first class seat, just one, and I would do that anytime I was flying by myself. Now I rarely fly by myself because I have a partner and we're both plus size, so we just make sure to get anything that we need to accommodate ourselves comfortably. And keep in mind that if you're commenting this on someone's post, they probably know they're plus size and they're probably already doing whatever they can to make sure they're comfortable and everyone around them is going to be comfortable too.
So that's her response to that. And again, like I said, it doesn't seem like she is some like terrible person. I mean, I fundamentally, disagree with a lot of this stuff. I think that, at least they are, purchasing a whole row for themselves so they don't have to deal with it. I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like they have figured out a way to deal with this on their own. And so I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they've been traveling and figuring it out for themselves, but now they're like, but now we don't want to. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And then this last TikTok. So this one, I was just like, when I watched it, the first thing I thought, it just feels very like nothing is my fault and everything is out to get me kind of thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically, so it says things plus size travelers hate part 4.
Things plus size travelers hate part 4. Struggling to find plus size friendly accommodation. The fat tax of having to pay more for everything. Having to do hours of research before travel.
I mean, when you're traveling, you kind of always have to do research. It's like something that you should do. I mean, I would hope that you actually look forward to it if you're a big traveling person. Like, that's kind of the fun for some people.
Struggling to find plus-size friendly rental cars. The lack of plus-size friendly seating at restaurants. Struggling to find cute plus-size travel clothing. Not knowing if the locals are rude to fat people.
This one, I was just like, bro, I don't know what to do. Like, what do you want at this point? Like, do you want just like everyone to just change because of you? Like, I don't understand. Like, if this is something that you want to do, if you want to be a travel person that's plus size, like, there are going to be downsides to it, and it just is what it is. I don't know, man. I just don't know. It really frustrates me when it feels like someone truly feels like their weight has nothing to do with their decisions. I really don't like that point of view because I just fundamentally disagree with it. For the most part, right? Of course, there are outliers whenever I bring this up, but like for the most part, especially if you're getting up to a 6X like she said she was, like there are things that you are doing day to day that are accommodating that size, okay? And so if you feel that size, this is just the way I see it. If you feel that your size is becoming an issue and it's like hindering this thing that you say you love, which is travel, I don't understand the mindset of, oh, it's everyone else's fault and not mine. Like, the easiest thing in that like position is just to change what you're doing. And I say that knowing that losing weight is incredibly difficult, but it is much easier to lose weight than to go to any place you go to and expect everyone to accept you or expect everything else to accommodate you. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't suffer from main character syndrome, but it's like, dude, you talk about all these issues with this thing that you love doing that would be solved if you just lost some weight, to not think, oh, maybe I should do that. Instead, be like, no, everyone else needs to change for me. That's where I'm just like, dude, I just don't agree. I just don't agree.
Having to share an Uber and being physically uncomfortable. Inaccessible bathrooms that aren't plus size friendly. Uncomfortable seating everywhere.
So a lot of that stuff was just issues with being, really overweight, right? Some of them are different. Some of them, like, even if you're just slightly overweight, it might be annoying. But for a lot of those, it was like, if you are extremely overweight, these are some issues that you might have, not just with travel, it's just in life in general, right? So at the end of the day, for me, the biggest thing is just, it really bothers me when people won't take any responsibility, like any, right? I understand that things are hard, and I'm not sitting here being like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and I'm not that kind of guy. But at some point, you have to take at least a tiny bit of responsibility for what you're doing. And like, Especially even if this person just was a big person, that is completely different than just being a big person and then trying to make everyone accommodate you, right? I never felt that way when I was at my heaviest. I never thought that like everyone else needs to deal with me, because in my head I was like, these are decisions that I made that led me to this point. So this is something I have to deal with, not something everyone else has to deal with. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I am genuinely curious what you think. Do you think that airlines should just give give a free seat basically to someone that's bigger because they'll be more comfortable? Do you think that's feasible? Do you think, like, I personally have no issue with airline seats getting bigger and there being more room. I think that that's a good idea for everyone, because I feel like airline seats are small for everybody basically. And I don't know. I'm curious because a lot of this stuff, like, I agree with, like, especially with the flying stuff. Like, it's definitely not the most comfortable thing. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to know what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.